Sailors, today is your day. We are going to the Old Sailboat Section in Punta Gorda Isles, and I'm going to break it down for you. Yo, I'm Adrienne, longtime Florida realtor, and I'm here to help you get your Florida life. Happy Wednesday, everyone. If you're new here, new videos come out every Wednesday. This is part of my neighborhood series where I drive you through, take you around the different neighborhoods in Southwest Florida. Today we're looking at the Old Sailboat Section. We're going to look at the boating. We're going to look at the real estate values. You're going to learn a lot. One of the fun things about making these videos is people kind of give me feedback on what they've learned and what they want to learn. So if you are familiar with the Old Sailboat Section and want to add something or learn something in this video, I would love to hear about it. Please comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Now let's check out the Old Sailboat Section. The Old Sailboat Section is sometimes called the original sailboat section. This is an area in Punta Gorda Isles, or PGI. I like to split PGI up into boating sections when I'm explaining it to people. This is not the only sailboat area, but it's got some features I like to point out, so I separate it off. I also have a video about the powerboat section in my neighborhoods playlist, and next month I'm going to move on to the southern half of PGI. Now let's take a look at the map. The Old Sailboat Section is up here in the northwest corner of PGI. Sometimes when I meet new people to the area and they've driven around and they don't know what it's called, I'll say, you mean the area that looks like fingers? Or for you Michiganders, your state looks like a mitten. The Old Sailboat Section is more like a glove. Boaters may see that the trip to open water is fantastic in this section. It's often a straight shot or at least a very close shot out to open water. Many houses you can even see the open water from the dock. While boating is quite amazing in this area, the canals tend to be a little narrow in the Old Sailboat Section. So if you're looking to have a catamaran or a wide boat, it's likely to take up too much of the canal. Also, if you need a wide turning radius, the Old Sailboat Section may not be for you. That being said, these canals are dredged for 6 feet at mean low tide. Speaking of you Midwesterners, I know if you're on a Great Lake, you're thinking 6 feet, that's nothing. That's not deep at all. Well, in Southwest Florida, that's deep. You're going to have trouble beating it here. While we don't have the depth of the Great Lakes, you can boat here 12 months a year, which is a major bonus. Originally, this section began in the 1960s. That's why we call it the Old Sailboat Section or the original sailboat section. You'll still see 1960s homes in this area, but you'll also see our version of McMansions. Primarily at the ends of the streets, people are slowly tearing down the old houses and building new. This leads me to a strategy I see employed here often. Someone will buy an old 1960s house in this section while they're still working but looking at retirement. They'll use it for a few years, then tear it down when they sell their house up north and are ready to come here full time. These older homes make great rental investments as well, as they are often sold very close to lot value. But what you need to be careful of is if a home needs too much work to make it livable. Not only do you want to not pour too much money into a home that will eventually be torn down, sometimes you cannot. Because this area is in a flood zone, it's subject to the FEMA 50% rule. I explain this more in my flood zone video. I'll put a link to that in the description. But in a nutshell, you will be limited on how much permitted work can be done on these older homes without raising them to the current standards of elevation. At some point, tearing down a property may be the best option. Now let's talk about pricing. Typically, you find the highest priced homes in the Old Sailboat Section, often at the ends of the roads where the cul-de-sacs are overlooking the harbor. I'm going to give you some current pricing, and I'm going to try to frame the pricing so even if you're not watching this when I'm making it in February of 2024, you'll get a feel for how these homes are priced versus other areas of Punta Gorda Isles or other waterfront in the area. And that's important because if you want a big sailboat, this is very likely the section for you. But if you don't, keep in mind you pay for the water here. So if you're paying for this fantastic water, but it's not something you're going to use, this might not be the section for you. You'll see more what I mean when we go through this pricing. Currently, the lowest price house in this section is $570,000. The highest priced house is $3,480,000. The $570,000 house is a 1960s, 1,600 square foot house. It has 98 feet of seawall, which is nice. Anything over 80 feet is great. And it's close to open water. The lowest price vacant lot in this section with close to 80 feet of seawall, it actually has 75 feet, is $575,000. The house is $570,000 and the lot is $575,000. The lots in this case, they're shaped a little different. You might like one over the other. I did exclude lots that are either there's a lake on this section, so if they're on the lake, they're not for boating, or there's a lot or two that have 40 feet of seawall. 40 feet is very limiting in the size of boat you can have, so that's not really a fair comparison. As far as median price goes, this was very interesting to me. The median price in the old sailboat section right now is $949,000, and in all of PGI, it is also $949,000. That is very unusual. It is usually considered the pricier section, so I'm going to keep an eye on that personally to see if something's changing out there. We do have a lot of inventory in PGI right now, so perhaps that's kind of the result of that. I did look at both houses, and they are pretty similar in their stats, so very interesting to watch, at least for me. Finally, let's talk condos. There are a couple of complexes that don't have canals, that overlook the harbor. They do not have docks. You have Avante, which is a resort-like complex on the lake. If you want a dock, your options are One Colony Point, which is an older complex that has first come, first served docks, meaning you could get a dock assigned to you, but you must wait for one to open up. Historically, there has been a wait list at this complex, and the last time I checked, it was about 2 years long. It does change though, so that might be different now. Second is Tarpon Cove. In Tarpon Cove, not all Tarpon Cove units have docks, but many do. These docks are deeded, meaning they come with particular condos. That's the old sailboat section. Let me know if you learned anything and if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.